Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Father's Day. Hoya Locker Room, episode 92. We have Markham Stansbury, my esteemed co-host, and our special guest, but almost like a regular. We're in parallel universes in terms of being out here from a communication standpoint, Mr. Chris Wright Sr. Get that right?
Happy Father's Day, gentlemen. Happy Father's Day. It's a pleasure to be back talking to you, and hope all is well. It's a pleasure to be here.
We apologize for being a little tardy, but you know
that's on me. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that.
I appreciate it. That's a stand-up point guard. I like that.
Stand-up point guard. But again, as people know that tune in, we are prone to technical difficulties, and we embrace.
Hey, we on color people time, man. Just understand, it's Father's Day. It's Father's Day today, and if your lady making a brunch and she say sit down and eat, you gotta sit down and eat, and you gotta abide by the rules. You understand? Again, there's a rules and a standard set to everything, and that's part of the Father's Day activity.
Real talk, and I posted today. And
who am I to mess up?
You're our unofficial. You're our unofficial Hoya Dad of the Year. So well said, right? That's what a Hoya Dad of the Year would say.
I appreciate that.
When you are asked or suggested that you be present, you're present.
Yeah.
For my money,
with the capital.
You can say that asked, suggested. I'm just gonna go with told.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
Hey, we just want to keep it a little bit light today,
A little bit light. well, we've been told we keep it too light sometimes. But I can't. I can only embrace that because
if you want to come over to Dawgtalk, we tend to be a little heavy. Tend to be a little heavy on that side.
Oh, with that being said, Mark, why don't you get us started here? Because again,
before we get started, let me just ask a quick question. Do we have a Twitter? Have we gotten a Twitter going up yet?
Yes, we do. Our Twitter page is @RoomHoya.
Do we have Facebook?
Facebook is Hoya Locker Room.
And what about IG?
Instagram is Hoya.lockerroom, Hoya.locker.room. But if you put in Hoya Locker Room, it'll pop right up. And we want to thank any and everyone all over the place that have been subscribing. We've had a nice uptick, and we're really thankful of the appreciation.
We also have YouTube, also, right?
We have a YouTube channel as well. Yes, sir. Hoya Locker
Room. What about OnlyFans?
Pardon me?
OnlyFans.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Look at him. Look at him. Watch out, man. You gotta watch out for these guys, man. You gotta watch out.
Hey, Chris, don't group me in with that dude, man.
You gotta watch out, man.
No.
You gotta watch out.
No.
So, Mr. Wright, tell us how you ended up at Georgetown.
How I ended up at Georgetown. Honestly, I come from the area. I'm born and raised in this area, so Georgetown was always kind of in the background. You always kind of paid attention during the time that I was growing up. Maryland was in the forefront for the most part. ACC was in the forefront. They had just won a national title. And it was like 2000, 2001 or something like that. Duke was having their run, so I didn't really pay attention to Georgetown. Mike Sweetney went to Georgetown. That kind of switched everything for me because Mike was the big name player in the area. Like Mike was like Shaq. Mike was dominant. Their team was dominant. They had Phil Goss on their team that went to Drexel, played overseas. They had Lamar Butler, was on the Final Four team at George Mason. So they had a big time team and they used to win everything. So when Mike decided to stay home and go to Georgetown, that's when I became a fan. That's when I went to John Thompson basketball camp for the first time. This is around the time I'm like 10 years old. I went to John Thompson basketball camp, overnight camp, or 10, 11, and Mike was like a freshman. So it's kind of, I knew the impact that Mike Sweetney having someone that's a big time player in the area what impact that would have. I was hyped up when Mike came. So anyway, that's why I got involved with
Sweetie definitely had the MLPM going on.
Huh?
MLPM. Mark them like post moves.
Hey, that's two right there. That's two. That's two times.
And thank goodness. Oh yeah, actually both of them were live. It's two.
It's live, yeah.
Two.
So so Georgetown, when I got to high school, I wasn't interested in Georgetown, but I got offered from Georgetown probably first. I wasn't interested at all because Georgetown was terrible. This was like the earlier years of Jeff Green and John Wallace, the first and second year of them, a couple years before that. So when they weren't really that good. It was nothing to be excited about. There was no energy behind it. ACC had everything. ACC had everything, you know, from Duke. He's upstairs. From Duke to Maryland to Virginia to Virginia Tech. You know, it was a lot of schools. Carolina, NC State. It was a lot of Wake Forest was jumping. Even St. Joe's was bigger than Georgetown at that time because they had Jameer Nelson, they had Delonte West and those guys. You know, no disrespect to St. Joe's, but those were the guys. You know, those were the teams. So what happened with me is they started winning. They started getting things rolling, and you saw what Georgetown was capable of doing. And then Austin Freeman committed, and you know, one thing led after another, and then we went to the Final Four, and it just seemed like the right time. It seemed like the right picture. And people don't realize is that the Princeton offense at that time, why I was drawn to the Princeton offense was because all the major point guards in the NBA were running the Princeton offense that I idolized. Jason Kidd with Eddie Jordan and New Jersey Nets, they ran the Princeton offense. Gilbert Arenas with Eddie Jordan and the Washington Wizards ran the Princeton offense, and they had 3 20-point scorers on their team. So for me, I saw that it was an opportunity to do this. I actually committed to North Carolina State originally. Their big-time player in ACC Player of the Year was Julius Hodge, and they were running the Princeton. People don't understand. So it was a lot of Princeton principles that was implemented in the game. The Sacramento Kings with Mike Bibby and all them, that was orchestrated by Pete Carril. He was behind that. He was a consultant for the Sacramento Kings, which is a Princeton guy. So it's a lot of Princeton elements that were surrounding the NBA and surrounding basketball at that time. And it was a lot of guys. Gilbert Arenas averaged 28 points in Princeton. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm like, shit, I'm gonna get him up, you know? So, but obviously there's variations of things, but that's how I ended up at Georgetown. And at the time they went to the Final Four, and it just seemed like a perfect fit.
I want to go back to when you were 10. So obviously when you were 10, there was some parental guidance there.
Yeah.
Who interested you in Georgetown other than the Sweetie move? But what was going on at the crib that said, okay, go check out Georgetown?
Well, my pops is from the Bronx, and he was in the Bronx and a young businessman and all that stuff back when y'all was playing. So the energy and the charisma and the style and the personality that was presented with that and during that time was something that resonated with him, as well as a lot of young youth and young men and women at that time. So I think that as a carryover and the lingering effect of that lingered into our household. So when his son started getting recruited by Georgetown and John Thompson started showing up to the gym and whatnot, and then woo-de-woo, you hear this and that, yeah, your son is, so that's kind of where it came from, the Georgetown understanding. So it was always kind of had that, I always kind of had that appreciation for Georgetown indirectly before I was ever involved.
Where did you go to high school?
St. John's, right down the street, St. John's College High School.
I'm going to need you to do a little bit more homework, Markham. Just a little bit more homework.
I knew. I just forgot, man. I'm 33 now, man. I'm forgetting stuff.
Okay, just so you know, he's one of the 5 or 6, whatever it is, 3-time all Met players ever.
He's also McDonald's All-American.
Okay.
First player in the NBA to have
Come on, Markham, talk that shit, Markham. Come on. Don't fumble now, goddamn. Don't mess it up.
Don't drop the Gatorade down.
Happen to the footwork.
Played with the Mavericks. First NBA player with MS. I almost said diabetes because black people have diabetes.
Hey, Chris, he's in the post fumbling and bubbling.
No.
Footwork all
very
crazy.
Good hands. Very good hands.
On,
Excellent
man.
hands. Excellent hands.
Come on, I gotta
man.
keep you on par. That's my job.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
So clearly the brand what resonated with in the household with your dad.
Absolutely. Yeah.
When you got there, were there elements of that still around, or was it a new day? Because I say this because when you got there, 2007, they were coming off the Final Four.
Right.
So clearly the energy was still around the program.
Well, it was a different energy. You gotta understand, because along with Georgetown basketball is also associated the Kenner League. You know what I mean? So the Kenner League is also known for bringing the best players in the city out, best players in the street ball, the best players at other colleges, best players in the pros, and bring those players out. And at that time, it wasn't jumping like that. You know, so it had a different energy. It was more solely focused, because it's hard to explain, but in DC, you know how we are. Shit, if we not good, if something ain't good, we just ain't gonna pay attention. We just gonna go to the next thing, because we got a lot of other things going on. But if we good, we gonna jump on the, you know, we gonna chill, we gonna do whatever we gotta do. That's just how it is in the DMV. Like, you know, Redskins, Commanders, they not good, ain't nobody paying attention. Nationals, ain't paying attention. You know, whatever. All right, we do something else. And that's how it kind of was with
Georgia.
Georgia.
To say nobody's been paying to the Redskins for about 20 years?
It's no longer called the Redskins. So
Commanders.
So the Commanders, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. Magic Johnson is a part of the team now, so you know we got some Magic Johnson on the ownership. So you know we coming with the, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna be right back in a minute. But no, it was, you know, Georgetown, it didn't have the same feel when I got there. When I got there, it was different, and it was kind of coming back. That energy was coming back. It was coming back, and we just wanted to be like the dot the I's and cross the T's type, like, yeah, we back. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt. Even though they went to the Final Four, a lot of people, and this is no disrespect to any of those guys, but they thought it was kind of like surprising that they were going to the Final Four. Granted, they'd had Jeff Green, shout out to Jeff, who just won an NBA championship, and they had Roy Hibbert. They had 2 lottery picks, but it just didn't seem like, you know, people weren't expecting Georgetown to win. They were 2 seed, but wasn't really, you know, that wasn't like going into the season. People weren't saying, yeah, Georgetown going to, you know, be a Final Four contender, you know, so they kind of exceeded expectations, and we wanted to come in. This is the first year they had 2 All-Americans, myself and Austin. We just want to continue the tradition. So that's how I ended up over there. And the energy was different. But then we signed a contract with ESPN for all our games to be on ESPN. So that brought more energy, you know, so it's a lot of things happening around that time. It was a transition period.
Yeah. I want to thank you for giving a shout out to Jeff, because I'd like to give a shout out to Omer as well. Shout out to John Wallace, who's in the front office with the Nuggets, and then a shout out to Zoe, because it's nice. It's nice when we have that representation on the highest level.
And a shout out to JT3, who just got promoted with the Washington Wizards.
Correct. Yeah. So that's nice when we're making moves like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got the next one?
Since the Commanders came up, I just got a text from my man. I want to shout him out, Randy Jordan, who is the running backs coach for the Commanders, telling me that.
And you talking crazy? Yeah, you talking crazy. They are now. We paying attention. We are now.
Paying attention. Yeah. So Chris, you're doing a lot. One of the reasons why we wanted to have you on, because you're doing a lot in terms of, like I said, communications. You're out front. You're speaking about the Hoyas in a way that I think is much appreciated by former players, by the alumni, because you're giving us an inside perspective. Most recently, there was a post by another Hoya-inspired platform called Kente Hoya, and they did a little contest. I don't want to call it a contest, but who's your favorite Hoya? When you think of Georgetown, who do you think of? And of course, you know, I'm gonna chime in, and you were my guy,
my man,
because I think in 2023, what we need is more Chris Wright. And the reason why I'm the context of this is you mentioned we're just getting started in relationship to Dawgtalk.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can elaborate on that, tell us all about Dawgtalk. Tell us all about the inspiration, the goals, the future. I think that this is a good opportunity for that.
Yeah. So, well, I appreciate that first and foremost. That was a nice segue. You're pretty good at this, Gene.
Don't let Markham tell it.
That wasn't too bad right there. I ain't gonna lie. It was a nice, smooth ride. You know what I'm saying?
When Gene pays attention to the background chat, he's excellent.
So no, Dawgtalk was really inspired by Mac McClung. And I say this all the time, I'll be true to it. He made a statement about how this is right before the pandemic, that he didn't feel the support of alumni. He didn't, it just was no kind of family environment. I was like, yeah, you're right. I agree with you. I feel the same thing. And if I'm going to say something, you got to stand on that. You got to stand on that and do something about it. And I felt that it was necessary because of, who I am and what I feel I represent, that I could be a great person to represent myself and the university. And I just started getting people out there. I just wanted to gain some attention to it by interviewing, great Hoyas, Jeff Green, that just won a championship, Patrick Ewing, a lot of great, great players that came through, Greg Monroe, Markel Starks in the last decade or so, and even some in the past. So that's how it started, with no real direction, just kind of doing it because it's always going to be a part of my brand. It's always going to be part of my image. And I felt the need that other players needed to be seen and talked about and all that. So opportunities kind of came out of that, just from the simple fact that I was being authentic with it, and just really doing it out of passion. Just, something I like doing, something I like communicating with people, talking to people, sharing my insight and all that stuff. And it's kind of led us into different avenues to the point where now we are competing. We're having, last year we had the ABL League where we competed against Maryland alumni, and we had an opportunity for guys at former alumni to make money off of that game, so that was an opportunity. This year, we're playing in the TBT and the ABL. The TBT is $1 million tournament that's on ESPN. And then we also playing in the ABL, which is, a continuation of last year's game. This year will be at Syracuse on August 6th. TBT starts July 25th. And so for me, with that being said, it's just kind of a lot of things just kind of been happening, kind of falling into place with that. And one of the biggest things that we're trying to do now with Dawgtalk is make this kind of like a film, kind of documentary style project that we're working on. And TBT is like, I've been fortunate to compete in the TBT for a long time now. Last year I lost in the championship, which is fucked up, but I lost in the championship. So I have experience about it. But you got to approach it like, I'm a big boxing guy. So I'm approaching this like a Canelo Hoya versus Floyd fight. And if the fight is July 25th, Showtime Boxing is documenting everything leading up to what's going on in this prize fight. And that's what we're doing. So we're trying to film things. We're going to come out with different episodes of the experience and who we're partnering with, and how we're training and how we're preparing mentally and physically for this event. So we're moving into more kind of production. I do the morning show. I took off this last week from doing the morning show just because it's been a lot of things I've been doing behind the scene, trying to get it right, organized and stuff. But it's going to be, if anybody follow, I do morning show every day, Monday through Friday, for the last 5-6 months. And so, yeah, it's just different avenues. We connecting with the community, aligning ourselves with different nonprofits in the city, and trying to create different opportunities for the current student athletes and for the alumni.
Well, I just want to say, when you were talking about that, you mentioned that when you started, you didn't really have, you said you started with really no direction.
Yeah.
And made me think about us. But what I would say is that I have a sign that I keep on my bookshelf that says, doing things is better than not doing.
Right.
Big John, when I was there, would often say, it's better to have a Santa commission than a Santa omission.
Right. Like that.
Because you're trying to do something.
Right.
And I'm sure you get criticism that many people do when they're trying to do things that have not been done. And I would say, to say to those, not that you need to hear it, especially to the people that ain't doing nothing, just keep it moving. Like, when you're trying to do something that needs to be done, should have been done, if you're not helping,
The blueprint.
get out the way.
Yeah. If nobody's ever done it, there's no blueprint behind it, you know. So honestly, this whole started because of Gene. Gene was like, "Hey, come on, Hoya locker room and talking wooty wooty woo." And Gene got me on Hoya locker room. The next thing you know, man, people want to hear from you and free. All right, shit, why not? I ain't got nothing else to do. Let's do it. You know, that's kind of how I started. I just jumped out there. I didn't really care, but I was passionate about it. I like doing it. And I don't care what people say. I could care less. I never did. So that don't faze me one bit. And that goes from the top to the bottom, you know. So that, you know, I'm just going to continue to be me and keep being authentic. But there are a lot of opportunities that have become available because of the progress and the consistency that we've had.
Well, I want to speak to. It's one thing if you know, you're the 12th man on the bench jumping out there, but this is Chris Wright, who, you know, top 21 in scoring, top 20 in scoring, top 20 in steals, number 6 in assists. That's called research, Marker. Research. You know,
That's why I got you here.
It'd be one thing if we were talking to somebody.
Mike Riley, you'll recall when Mike Riley was on, we talked about exchanging quotes. And one of the quotes that he gave me, or maybe I gave it to him, was if you have a business partner and both of you say the same thing, one of you is not needed. I don't need to be saying the same thing you say.
Right.
Come on, man.
Correct. So as I was saying, it's one thing if it's just somebody that actually hasn't done the work. You've done the work and you're still currently playing professionally. This is your 13th season. So I think that brings an extra added sense of motivation and inspiration, especially for somebody like myself. And
by the way, since we're talking about research, he is the only guy that played 13 seasons of professional basketball with MS. It's on his wiki page.
So again, I can only speak to how inspired I am by you, how motivated I am by you, and hopefully, you know, this becomes, as you said, the blueprint, and the university will embrace it, the program will embrace it, and to that point, what's it been like getting support from the Georgetown community? Have you thought about any type of events surrounding, particularly TBT? Because that's $1 million.
Yeah.
Right? The ABL shit, I fully expect us to crush the Qs. I'm not really. I mean,
right.
I would love to be part of a caravan up to Syracuse, even though there's. I got to find some shit to do when I get up there, though.
Right.
Other than the game, because you know I'm coming with a crew.
Right. Right.
But what's it been like getting support from our community, or are you thinking about ways to garner support? You know, both you know, from a online standpoint, but also financially, because obviously these trips aren't free.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of like music, you know what I'm saying? When you listen to a new sound, when someone introduces a new sound at first the new sound is like, what the hell is that? You know, what they doing? What are they trying to create? And then after a while, they may say it's trash. And then the next person comes up and tweaks it a little bit. The next person tweaks it. And the next thing, you got something that's sustainable, you know? And I'm saying, hopefully, if I'm not the blueprint for the next generation, maybe it's something there that you tweak and take from mine and take and create something else that will eventually be the next for these alumni and in this community that we have at Georgetown and worldwide, because Georgetown is global. That's what people need to understand. But yeah, the in terms of the participationship and people trying to be a part of what we're doing, there has been participation from the community. There's people that, you know, we've been in contact with. Obviously, we're trying to raise money. We got to raise a certain amount of money to get to the TBT. The TBT doesn't cover the first round of the tournament, so we have to cover ourselves. So we have to raise, you know, we got to raise some money for that, as well as, you know, creating this production, this documentary type film. We're raising money for that as well. And I've been able to reach out to people, and there's people that said, yeah, we'd be willing to help. We'll be willing to do things. And there's been people that said no, which I respect too. you know. So I can honestly say that Ed Cooley's been one of the guys that's been like, yeah, I help you out with everything you need. So it's kind of like, oh shit, you say what? You know what I'm saying? We got PTSD from how that shit used to be up there. You know what I'm saying? But it's but no, so it has been some help, and there's some from some other Hoya alumni, other donors that are really trying to be involved as well to try to participate. It's just about making the right decision right now and not trying to, me trying to jump into everything, really trying to figure out what makes sense for the direction of where I'm going and how it can make sense. Because yes, we want to create avenues and create other incomes and streams, but at the same time, it got to make sense, because after a while, you're going to get burnt out. So for me, I'm just trying to figure out what makes sense for myself and for all people that I affect to have some type of leverage in this situation.
Yeah, I'll add, and again, this is Father's Day. We want to thank our Hoya Dad of the Year for coming through. But we don't want to keep you too long. But I just want to add to that, if there are any alumni that are listening that want to get involved, Chris is real easy to get a hold of. Dawgtalk on Twitter, Dawgtalk on Facebook, and Dawgtalk on IG.
Yep. Dawgtalk on OnlyFans.
Yeah, so
that's 3. You struck out. Come on.
He's from Memphis, man.
Next man up, man.
Next man up. So yeah, don't hesitate, because I appreciate Chris saying that he wants to be mindful of how he moves, but by the same token, how he's moving now is very naturally. Like the fact that we're talking about alumni basketball, the fact that we're talking about bringing the best of our best back. The more involvement, the better. We're talking about during the summertime. If I'm a recruit, I'm looking at that kind of stuff. Right. If I'm a former player, I'm looking at that kind of stuff. It's something for me to embrace and rally around, particularly if it's in a city near me.
Right.
So I want to encourage anyone that's interested in getting involved to reach out to Chris.
I appreciate that. We want to try to have like an intra-squad scrimmage of a Georgetown and McDonough and sell some tickets for that joint too.
Yeah, I just think that there are incredible amounts of opportunities
so
here.
Many different things. And then, to answer your question earlier, you asked about events. Yes, there are things that we're coming up with. We're coming up with things of what I said in these 2 events that we have, the TBT and the ABL. But there are more things that we're going to try to sprinkle out throughout the entire year.
And what I'm thinking about, Chris, because I put on my brand hat. I'm just thinking about how do we do events around the event to support the event.
Absolutely.
So fundraisers and things of that nature.
Right.
Again, it's all about the Georgetown community, because I think we have a unique product and a unique program. And in Cooley's words, we're not rebuilding, we're rebranding. I think it was. Was that the phrase? It was reestablishing. There you go. See?
Hey.
If you got a business partner,
yeah, exactly. Some cats don't listen. They can read and do research on the internet, but they can't really listen.
Hey man, whatever it is, he said rebranding, reestablishing. We doing all that. Just like they want to say they created a collaborative. It's a collective, collaborative, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's all the same shit. Yeah. We got to get better.
So with that being said, again, anything you can do to support the efforts, we much appreciate it. We'd like to wrap it up, unless Chris got something else to say. We'd like to wrap it up with some Father's Day stories to share, but Chris, if you got anything else you want to add, cool.
Nah, man, I just think we should all be excited about the situation that we're in as Hoyas and as where the program is and things to look forward to in the future. In the present day, I would say that, what I said, Dawgtalk, we're just trying to do everything we can to put some confidence in everybody, make us feel good about being Hoyas, make us feel good about wearing that and repping that brand. And because we all are associated with that brand forever. We all are going to be associated. This brand is, as much as its own entity, is part of our identity as well. So with that being said, you want your shit to look good. Markham still got on Zoe hoodie, I see. I'm gonna let that shit fly today. But you still want to look good and be a part of something that she can respect. You know?
He said you need to
man.
upgrade your shit.
No. I think he's trying to refer to the side. And what I will say,
we know what he's referring to.
no. First of all, I just want to say, I
I'm
know
just
the
fucking with you,
tight
Markham.
clothes.
I'm just
No.
messing with you.
I know the tight clothes are coming back. If you guys check out the Father's Day video we put together, you'll see Chris Wright on there with some tight pants on. Look like he probably can't swallow a grape, but it's all good. By the way,
See, he don't know nothing about taper, nothing about fit.
your dad looks like he might be able to take you, though. I'm just saying, you know, he looking like he nice out there.
Listen, it's Father's Day, so I'm gonna let him live, but you know, it's all good. We know what it is.
For real. When I first got to Georgetown, everybody used to be on me about wearing tight stuff because everybody was. I mean, it was crazy.
Oh,
like,
I mean, you know how that goes.
Smitty would wear like he wear like pants that would fit Alonzo. Like, bro, this is ridiculous.
Smitty weigh $150.
Exactly, but that's how that's how y'all do it in DC. All that baggy stuff.
Look, he hot.
I ain't hot. The tight stuff is coming back. You know, it's all good. You know, somebody out there sent me
first of all, it's not
Georgetown
tight, Markham. It's fitted. It's not tight.
Fitted. Just like Chris said, it's all the same thing.
It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. Nah, but I'm saying no. I just think that Dawgtalk, we just trying to do the right thing and trying to create some avenues for everybody to come out and support, have a good time. Oh, I need to say this live too before I forget. So, last weekend or maybe 2 weekends ago at this point, So Hoya had their events and stuff going on. I missed everything. And that was not because I was trying to. I couldn't get out the bed from the jet lag. So I want to apologize to So Hoya. I was supposed to pop out. I wanted to pop out, but between my son playing baseball and all that, man, jet lag tore me up. I couldn't. I was sleeping like 2:00 every day. So, and that was like the first 5 or 6 days. So I want to apologize to So Hoya people if they hear this. That's my fault. I meant to be there. I wanted to be there, but I couldn't do it. Body wouldn't allow it. So I'm gonna try to make the next ones or any other events I'll be there. So I wanted to say that live though.
Sure, they appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well,
so with that, we'd like to bring the show to a close. Again, happy Father's Day to all the Hoya dads around the globe. We really appreciate you. And with that, I'll jump in first and share a Georgetown kind of Father's Day kind of story. And for me, I grew up without my dad. So, you know, going to Georgetown and playing for Coach Thompson was, I couldn't really measure it. We had a lot of strong, obviously male figures in the neighborhood growing up, so I wasn't absent that. But just, and then we all had coaches growing up that were impactful. But just in terms of that attention to detail, that success is the only thing that's being accepted kind of mantra. Coach was pivotal in that. He was huge in that. And the story that I'll share was upon being named captain, you know, it was like, where did that come from? Because my sophomore year was an injury-plagued season. So I get named captain, and he brings me into the office to ask me about players on the team. And essentially, kind of like I felt like a stooge. Like it was like, did he make this move because I'm an informant? And I just remembered, I remembered saying to him, he asked me a question about so-and-so. Do you know so-and-so is doing this, that, and the other? And I don't know verbatim, but my response was, you know, Coach, that's really not my job. That's your job.
Right.
And I fully expected to lose my scholarship. Like, okay, it's a wrap. It's not like I'm doing Chris Wright things up in there.
He said, I expect to lose my scholarship.
I'm like, it's not like I'm not, you know, but instead of that.
But Jay, how you gonna go from being captain and losing your scholarship though?
Oh, come on, we're talking about Big John.
hey man.
And again, Chris, I'm averaging 2 points a game. It's not like I'm, you know, come on. As Markham often reminds me, I didn't play in the chip game, and we were okay. So it's one of those things where, you know, I fully expected, you know, some type of retribution, but instead, I saw him instill more confidence in me. I saw him give me more confidence. I saw him give me more responsibility. So that for me was like almost like a Father's Day moment, a Father's Day move. And again, that's not a story I share. I mean, I share that with obviously within the family, but
Right.
I just wanted to share that to kind of lead into hopefully you two have similar stories. And obviously the story can be from the crib, but
Well,
that one happened
the
to be.
so-and-so, I'll let Chris go, but I just want to point out to the people watching, so-and-so and the doing such and such was not revealed to protect the names of those who are mentioned.
yeah, because if I
Protect the
didn't do
names
it
and
then, I'm not doing it now.
I know the story. With the names.
Yeah. Well, we ain't got to do that. We don't got to do that. But no, so for me, in terms of Father's Day and Georgetown and how that kind of correlates, I got a story. I mean, it's a lot of stories I can go to just in the father figure, but Big John in particular, I remember he used to always ask me about stuff off the court. He used to always ask me about politics and all that. For some reason, I don't know, he found out what my major was. So he's always asked me about shit with my major. You know what I'm saying? So I'm an international relations major, government major. And during the time that the elections were going on is when Obama was running for president the first time. You know what I'm saying? So my first time voting, my 18th birthday was going to be, my birthday is November 4th, and that's usually election day. And so I was going to go and vote, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I was doing. So I'm hyped up. I'm learning about shit. We about to have Barack in the, I'm talking crazy. We're going against McCain. No way McCain beating Barack. That's where my mind. So anyway, we're thinking, and I remember coming into the locker room, coming into the gym, and coach used to talk to me. He was like, "Yo, did you watch the debate yesterday? Did you watch the debate?" We were talking about all different type of stuff about him, about Barack Obama, what he stood for, about, he's really connected to Farrakhan and all this difference. He was giving me a lot of different elements behind on it, just background info of him. And I don't know, we might have had a game or something we was preparing for the next couple of days or something. So I didn't watch the debate. And he said, "Chris, did you watch the debate?" I was like, "Nah, I ain't watching no debate. I forgot about it. I'm gonna watch it later today." And every word came out that you can imagine. What the just going in on me. But he was like, he said, "You the one that has to know all this stuff. You have to understand this stuff because for whatever reason," he said, "I don't know, but for whatever reason, you're gonna be involved with something like this." And he said it just like that. So I don't know, but you kind of got that to you. And so that was a kind of a fatherly moment that he would have with you that kind of, bring him down to earth, because you always look at him, obviously because of his size, but also because of his voice and because of his demeanor. You like, damn, this, it's a close between James Earl Jones and him when it comes to the voices and shit, So it was kind of like that. And but no, he was always kind of very he'll give a little advice like that. That's one thing I do remember about Big John. He was always kind of willing to share some advice, and it came from a different place. You always know how he's going to give advice, but the advice came from a lot of different places.
Well, I'm not going to share a Big John story. This is going to be a Mark Stansberry Senior story. And actually, this is what led to me being 3-time manager of the year. After my 9th grade year, where I've talked about how we had 5 guys go D1 off of that team. And I didn't play a lot. And that lets you know how good the team was. First of all. But,
hey, man.
I can't deal with this dude, man.
Chris, this is 3 times, 2-3 times a month.
I'm honest. I didn't play.
Yeah, we know you didn't play.
That lets you know how good the team was, though.
Yeah. So, and I didn't have, like I was a big man. I'm the first guy to wear the T-shirt at Georgetown. So, I decided I need to work on my handle because we had the big man was not going to be happening. Like we had guys 6'6", 6'7", and the coach was doing other things in the post. So I started to work on my handle. I'm dribbling the ball, doing what, what a Kobe Bryant would have done, working on myself, improving. And I'm dribbling the ball at like 10 o'clock at night, running around the block, right hand, left hand. Because I couldn't even blow my nose with my right hand. And I'm working on it. After about, I didn't even get to a week. Probably about like day 5, my dad says, "Hey man, you got to stop that. You're keeping folks up in the neighborhood."
Right.
So he wouldn't let me develop my game. So I developed my Gatorade making skills.
Oh, okay.
That's what happened. That's what happened.
He's like, "Hey, son, I don't know. This might not be it."
That might not be it.
You need this motion.
That might not be it. Might not be it. That's what's up, man.
Let me shout out to Ed Cooley and Lee Reed for really kind of, in my opinion, changing the spirit around the program.
Yeah.
Happy Father's Day to them. And this quote really kind of sums up how I feel about this. It's from a guy named Paulo Coelho, who wrote one of my favorite books, one of my 2 favorite books, I would have to say, The Alchemist, the Brazilian author. Beautiful book. If you haven't read it, you should. When we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. And that's it.
That's it. Appreciate that.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your Father's Day. Until we cross paths again, we appreciate you. Hoya Brotherhood is alive and well.
Yes, sir.
Support Dawgtalk, TBT, ABL this summer. And as always, we appreciate you. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate y'all having me.
See ya.